sense of his whole journey, like even going back to his childhood home in Brazil.
Okay.
Which, wasn't just a house, but like his first training ground, right?
Yeah.
The video talks about how he would
Yeah.
like dribble through furniture like it was an obstacle course.
I mean, that just paints such a vivid picture, right? It wasn't just some kid kicking a ball around. It was
Exactly, yeah.
young Ronaldinho already honing those skills.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about the influence of his brother, Roberto.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
More than just a sibling, but like his first teammate, a mentor.
Yeah, like a role model in every sense. And Roberto was a rising star himself. He was already playing professionally when Ronaldinho was still developing. So you can imagine, I mean, that's a lot of pressure, but also a lot of inspiration for young Ronaldinho.
Yeah, trying to kind of follow in those footsteps.
Yeah.
And then you layer on top of that, losing their father at a young age.
Yeah, very young.
That's a lot for anyone to deal with.
Right.
Let alone a kid.
Tragic story.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to their family's resilience. It's like they channeled that grief into this shared passion for football.
It's incredible.
It's like it became this source of strength.
It makes that story about him scoring 23 goals in a single game even crazier.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
talk about natural talent. Like what?
I mean, 13 years old, you're scoring that many goals. It's not just luck.
No.
It's vision. It's ball control.
Instinct.
That's beyond his years.
But can you imagine? I mean, I'm already imagining like the pressure of at 13 years old, people are like, oh, he's the next Pele.
Yeah, I mean, it's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
But it's also like, how do you live up to that?
How do you? Yeah.
That kind of expectation, it can either, crush you or it can really motivate you.
So it sounds like in this case, it motivated him because he joins Gremio's youth academy, starts turning heads on an even bigger stage. And then there's this whole thing with Gremio refusing to sell him, even for millions. Like, was that a common tactic back then?
Yeah, I mean, it was always a gamble, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of Brazilian clubs, you've got this amazing young talent. Do you cash in, take the transfer fee?
Right.
Or do you hold on to them and hope that they kind of blossom into this global superstar?
And it seems like they made the right choice because he delivers.
Yeah. In 1999, he's only 18.
Wow.
Leads Gremio to victory in the Rio Grande do Sul Championship.
Okay, now for those of us who maybe aren't as familiar with Brazilian football, like why is that such a big deal?
It's a regional championship in Brazil. So you've got, Brazil's a huge country. So
Yeah.
you've got all these different regional championships, but they're so competitive, right? And this one in particular, I mean, he wasn't just there.
Right.
He was dominating. There's this one game against International. They were the rivals, right?
Okay.
And their team is led by Dunga, World Cup winner.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Big deal.
And Ronaldinho scores the winning goal.
Come on.
So he's like, I've arrived.
He's making a statement.
He's making a statement. And then, to top it off, later that year, he helps Brazil win the Copa America,
Oh my goodness.
scoring you could argue it's one of the most iconic goals of his whole career.
It's crazy how much he accomplished before he even turned 20.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Is there a moment from this period that like really stands out to you? Like what was it about this like early period that was like, wow, this kid is special?
I think it's easy, when you're talking about a young player, to just focus on the potential, right?
Sure.
To say, oh, they've got all this talent, they could be great. But Ronaldinho, he wasn't just a prospect. He was delivering. He was a key part of these victories. He wasn't just, along for the ride. And that Copa America goal you mentioned,
Yeah.
I mean, that was pure Ronaldinho.
Okay, so before we move on to his like big move to Europe, because that's coming.
Right.
Let's break down that goal a little bit.
Okay.
Because I remember watching it and being like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
So what was it about that goal that was so special, that was so uniquely Ronaldinho?
So the thing is,
So we've got this young, insanely talented Ronaldinho, fresh off a Copa America win. The European clubs must have been practically knocking down the door.
absolutely. I mean, the buzz around him was huge. And then in 2001, he signs with Paris Saint-Germain. PSG, right?
Yeah.
For 5 million euros.
Yeah.
Big money, even back then.
Oh, yeah, especially for like a young player. That's a statement.
Yeah, it shows you how much they believed in his potential.
But it wasn't all like smooth sailing in Paris, right? The video essay, it mentioned some clashes with their coach, Luis Fernandez. What was going on there?
It's easy to kind of like oversimplify it, right? Just say, oh, young player, new city, maybe enjoying the Parisian nightlife a little too much.
Right.
And sure, maybe there was some of that. But it was more than just, discipline issues. Fernandez and Ronaldinho, they just had fundamentally different philosophies when it came to football.
Like a clash of styles.
Exactly. Fernandez was all about structure, tactics, very disciplined. And then you have Ronaldinho, who, this is Jogo Bonito we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
He thrives on that creativity, improvisation.
It's like, what do they say? Freedom within a framework? Maybe they didn't have the right framework.
Yeah, or maybe they just needed a different kind of framework for a player like Ronaldinho. But even with those clashes, you got to admit, he had some unbelievable moments at PSG.
Oh, absolutely. That free kick against Marseille, their rivals. Come on, that was just magical.
Pure magic. And it makes you wonder, what if? What if they had figured out a way to make that relationship work? But I guess those years in PSG was also about Ronaldinho adapting to European football, getting used to a new league, new teammates.
And adapt he did, because by the time the 2002 World Cup comes around, he is ready.
Oh, yeah. Brazil enters that tournament.
Yeah.
And they're the favorites. How could they not be with that attack? Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and of course, Ronaldinho. The 3 R's.
And then there's that goal against England.
You know the one.
That free kick.
Come on.
Unbelievable.
It's legendary for a reason. Ronaldinho standing over the ball. He's practically on the right touchline, miles from goal. David Seaman in goal for England.
And Seaman, notoriously hard to beat, especially from that distance.
Yeah, exactly. Seaman was known for his positioning, rarely caught out. But somehow, Ronaldinho, he spunts him just slightly off his line, and he sends this looping shot that sails over Seaman's head into the back of the net.
I still get chills thinking about it.
It's one of those goals that, to this day, people are still debating. Did he mean to do that? Was it a fluke? Was it a cross?
Yeah. Even Ronaldinho himself is giving conflicting answers over the years.
Exactly. It's like he bent the laws of physics. And the best part is, maybe even he wasn't sure how he did it.
It's true. Whatever it was pure genius, and it cemented his place in World Cup history. Although he does get a red card later in that same England match, right?
Yeah, a moment of frustration. He's only human.
Right.
And unfortunately, that meant he had to sit out the semifinal.
But he's back for the final.
Oh, yeah?
Against Germany. And the rest, as they say, is history.
History indeed. Brazil lifts the trophy, and Ronaldinho has his first World Cup title.
What a moment. Talk about a meteoric rise. From dribbling through furniture to a World Cup champion.
It's incredible.
But his story is far from over, right? That World Cup win, it's like setting the stage for a whole new chapter, the Barcelona years. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit more about Jogo Bonito.
Yeah.
So Jogo Bonito, beautiful play, more than just a catchy phrase. But what did that actually look like when Ronaldinho brought that to Barcelona?
It was, you almost have to see it to believe it, but
yeah.
Picture this. You've got Barcelona, this club with so much history, but they were kind of struggling to find their identity.
Right.
They were in a bit of a rough patch. They'd lost Luis Figo to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
The fans were desperate for something to cheer about.
They needed a spark.
Yeah. And then, boom, Ronaldinho arrives. And it's not just his talent, it's this joy he brought to the game. It was infectious.
And it showed, right? 2 La Liga titles, a Champions League trophy.
Exactly.
He helped bring Barcelona back to the top.
And they were winning in style. It wasn't just about the wins. It was how they were playing, the way they were attacking.
It was electrifying to watch.
Absolutely. And I think that had a huge impact, not just on Barcelona, but on football as a whole.
It's true. You started to see this new generation of players trying to capture that same, joy, that fearlessness.
Yeah, he made it look effortless.
But I imagine it wasn't just natural talent, right? There had to be some, work ethic in there, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The guy was a phenomenal athlete. He worked incredibly hard.
Cup where things start to maybe unravel a little bit.
Yeah.
The partying, a dip in form. What happened?
It's complicated. And,
yeah.
It's easy to simplify it to say, oh, he lost his discipline, but
right.
It's never that simple.
There are always other factors.
There were injuries, changes in the coaching staff, maybe some burnout.
Yeah, he had been playing at such a high level for so long.
Exactly. And that 2006 World Cup, Brazil goes out in the quarterfinals to France.
It must have been tough for him.
He was the captain. Talk about pressure, carrying the weight of a nation on your shoulders. And sometimes when you play with that much passion, it takes a toll.
And you have to remember, football, it's a business.
Oh, absolutely.
New stars emerge, tactics change.
It's always evolving.
Even the brightest stars, they don't shine forever.
It makes you wonder, though, what if? What if things had gone differently?
He does go on to play for AC Milan, Flamengo, even back to Brazil for a bit with Atletico Mineiro.
Right.
But it was never quite the same.
It's that bittersweet reality, The highs were so high, the lows can feel even lower. But those later chapters, they don't diminish the legacy. He showed the world what was possible on a football pitch.
It's true. He left us wanting more, but also with a lifetime of memories.
Those moments of magic, the audacious goals, that smile.
You can't forget that smile. That's the Ronaldinho we'll remember.
He was a reminder that it's not always about winning or losing. It's about playing the beautiful game beautifully.
Ronaldinho, thank you for the magic.